Right now, the sun is shining, and you're not thinking about it. Why would you? It was there yesterday. It was there when you were born. It was there for every human who has ever lived. Every empire, every war, every quiet morning. It is the one thing in the universe you have never once had to worry about. The most reliable object in your entire life. But I want you to imagine something. Not the sun exploding, not the sun slowly dying. I want you to imagine that in this exact second, right now, as you breathe in, the sun simply vanishes. Gone. Erased. As if it had never existed at all. You already think you know what happens. The sky goes black, the world freezes, everyone dies. And you're not wrong, but the truth is so much stranger than that. Because the most disturbing part of losing the sun isn't the darkness. It isn't even the cold. It's what you would not notice. And it changes everything you think you understand about the ground beneath your feet. Let's start with the light. The sun is not close. It sits roughly 93 million miles away, about 150 million kilometers. And light, the fastest thing in existence, still has to cross that distance to reach you. It travels at 299,792 kilometers every second. Nothing goes faster. And even at that impossible speed, the journey from the sun to your eyes takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Think about what that means. The sunlight warming your skin at this moment did not leave the sun this moment. It left more than 8 minutes ago. You are not seeing the sun. You are seeing where the sun was. So if the sun vanished this instant, you would have no way of knowing. The last light it ever produced is already racing toward you, and it doesn't care that its source is gone. For 8 minutes and 20 seconds, the sky stays blue. Birds keep singing. Shadows hold still. Your coffee keeps getting cold at exactly the rate it always did. The world is completely, perfectly normal, and you are living inside a solar system that no longer has a sun. Then, after 8 minutes and 20 seconds, it ends. Not a fade, not a dimming. The sky doesn't slowly darken like a sunset. It switches off. And the stars, the ones that were always there, hidden behind the daylight, become the only light left in the sky. And it's not just the sun that disappears. Look up at night and you'll see the moon, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. None of them produce their own light. Every one of them is a mirror, reflecting the sun back at you. So the instant the sunlight runs out, they vanish too. The moon goes black. The planets blink out. In a single moment, the entire solar system goes dark, and the only things left burning in the sky are the distant stars, each one a sun of its own, light years away, utterly indifferent to ours. But the light was never the real story, because something else is reaching across that 93 million miles, something you can't see. Gravity. For over 200 years, science believed gravity was instant. Isaac Newton built a universe where the pull of the sun reached every planet immediately, everywhere, all at once. Remove the sun, Newton's math said, and the Earth would fly off in the very same instant. But Newton was wrong. In 1915, Albert Einstein rewrote the rules with his theory of general relativity. Gravity, he showed, is not a force reaching instantly across empty space. It's a curve in the fabric of space-time itself. And changes in that fabric, like, say, a star suddenly disappearing, do not travel instantly. They ripple outward at exactly the speed of light. Do you see what that means? The Earth would not be released the moment the sun vanished. It would keep orbiting a sun that no longer exists, held in place by the gravitational ghost of a dead star, for the exact same 8 minutes and 20 seconds. And then, at the same instant the sky goes dark, the leash snaps. But here's the part people get wrong. The Earth doesn't fall. It doesn't get sucked anywhere. Our planet is already moving, racing around the sun at about 30 kilometers every second. That's 67,000 miles per hour. 18 miles every single second. Sideways. The only reason we don't fly off into space is that the sun's gravity bends our path into a circle. Take the sun away, and there is nothing left to bend it. So the Earth doesn't plunge, it simply stops curving, and it shoots off in a perfectly straight line, a tangent, out into the dark, carrying every ocean, every mountain, every person at 18 miles a second into nothing. We become a rogue planet, a world with no star, wandering the empty space between the stars, forever. And you wouldn't feel a thing. No jolt, no lurch. The Earth would keep spinning, and you'd keep standing, and only the slow drift of the stars overhead would ever betray that we'd been cut loose. Now you're probably thinking about the cold, and here's where almost everyone is wrong again. You'd assume that without the sun, the Earth freezes solid in minutes. It doesn't. Space is the closest thing to a perfect vacuum that exists, and a vacuum is nature's best insulation. There's almost nothing out there to pull the heat away from us, so the Earth wouldn't snap freeze. It would cool slowly, leaking warmth into space as radiation. The global average temperature today is around 15 degrees Celsius. After 1 week without the sun, the average surface temperature would drop below freezing to around 0 degrees Fahrenheit, about minus 18 degrees Celsius. Survivable for a little while in a heavy coat. After a year, the surface would plunge to around minus 100 degrees Celsius, and from there, it keeps falling toward the unimaginable cold of deep space. But the cold isn't what kills you first. The food is. Because the moment the light dies, photosynthesis stops. Every blade of grass, every tree, every microscopic algae floating in the ocean, they all run on sunlight. They are the foundation of nearly every food chain on this planet. Within weeks, the plants begin to die. Within months, the animals that eat the plants follow. And the collapse climbs upward, link by link, from the bottom of the food web all the way to the top, to us. But here's the strangest part of all. Life would not end, not completely, because the oceans would not freeze the way you imagine. Yes, the surface would ice over within weeks, But ice is an insulator. It traps heat beneath it. And underneath that growing crust, the deep ocean would stay liquid, not for years, but for thousands of years, warmed by something that has absolutely nothing to do with the sun, the heat of the Earth itself. Deep in our planet's core, radioactive elements have been decaying since the world was born, generating heat that leaks slowly upward. It's the same heat that drives volcanoes and shifts continents. And at the bottom of the oceans, around cracks in the seafloor called hydrothermal vents, entire ecosystems already thrive in total darkness, feeding not on sunlight, but on chemicals pouring out of the earth. Those creatures would barely notice the sun was gone. The Earth would slowly become something like Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, a frozen world with a hidden ocean of liquid water sealed beneath miles of ice. And up on the surface, something almost unthinkable would happen. As the temperature crashed past minus 180 degrees, the air itself would begin to freeze. The oxygen you're breathing right now, the nitrogen that makes up most of our atmosphere, it would turn to liquid, then fall from the sky as snow. The planet would wear a blanket of frozen air. And what about us? Humans could survive the longest underground, in sealed bunkers, beside geothermal heat, around nuclear reactors. A handful of people, burning the last of our technology like a candle inside a tomb. For a while. Just a while. So that's how the world ends without the sun. Except it won't. Not like this. Because stars don't vanish. The laws of physics simply don't allow a star to blink out of existence. The whole scenario is a thought experiment, a way to understand just how completely our lives depend on a single ball of burning gas 93 million miles away. But here is the part that should keep you up at night. The sun is not eternal. It only feels that way. In about 5 billion years, it will run out of hydrogen fuel. And when it does, it won't quietly fade. It will swell into a red giant, expanding outward, swallowing Mercury, then Venus. And long before it ever reaches Earth, it will boil away our oceans and scorch the surface to bare, lifeless rock. The vanishing is fiction, but the ending is already scheduled. So look at it again. Everything you are is borrowed starlight. The energy in the food you ate today came from the sun. The oxygen in your next breath was made by plants drinking sunlight. The warmth on your skin, the rhythm of your days, the seasons that shaped every culture that ever existed, all of it traces back to a single star that asked for nothing in return. You don't just live near the sun. You are made of what it gives. And the most haunting part of this entire experiment isn't the cold, or the endless fall into the dark, or the frozen air drifting down like snow. It's those first 8 minutes and 20 seconds. The moment when the sun is already gone, already erased from the universe, and the sky is still blue. When the birds are still singing, and the light is still warm, and you are standing there, completely certain that tomorrow will come. We spend our entire lives bathed in light that is already more than 8 minutes old. trusting a star we have never once questioned, never once thanked. And one day, not today, not for billions of years, but one day, that light will go out for the very last time. And for 8 minutes and 20 seconds, no one will know.